Hi everyone. So was following a tutorial to learn how to create XR games, and here I wanted to quickly show you how I created a very basic Jenga game in AR using a platform called as Co Space. So Co Space is a very versatile game building engine using 3D blocks and AR VR technology. What I did was I first of all registered myself and I created a CoSpace app. Um, One of the first games that I created was Jenga, and it had the basic building blocks of elements. For example, first was obviously the scene, which is this scene where you see my Jenga block and there is my camera. So these are the two basic elements in every scene. And then I created almost 15 wooden blocks out of the 3D library which they had, and kind of like added colors and elements to each and every block. Um, Also, every block has its own measurements in terms of the coordinates on what you want to do. The best part of using CoSpace app is you don't have to have a very extensive hierarchy or inspector elements. You can just use some of the key functionality that you can frequently. For example, here, this is about the XYZ coordinates where you can move the block. The other is the 3D movement of the block. And this is just moving. The others are the coordinates that you want to move. So let me just hover up. It's drag and lift. So you can just drag and lift. Okay, there's something happening. I don't know why it's not functioning. This is called as drag to scale. So if you click on this, you can see that the scale is just moving up. So for the sake of building the Jenga block, the coordinates that I used was 1 by 1 and 3 inches. So the length was 3 inches and the rest was 1 by 1. I created almost 15 building blocks, and then the code functionality was pretty simple. I guess, I mean, if you can see, the beauty of CoSpace is you can just drag and drop the code. The function that I built was basically pulling the block. I added a variable as block. When you click on the block, you can just push the Jenga. It kind of like creates a sense of how you actually play Jenga by just pushing each block. Added a velocity and also repeated each step for all the 15 blocks. So let me just play. All right, so this is the default view of the camera. I can zoom in, and let me just click on this block. Ooh. I'm just pushing it. So one of the bugs that I will be fixing is moving the direction of the block as to left and right. So here everything by default moves from left to right. And yeah, that's a nasty. That's the fastest Jenga block game that I've played ever. Uh, and you can also view this in your device. So if you want to play this in AR VR setting, then you need to download the CoSpace app. You can open the. I have a game that can be shared. So if I can just click on share, this is the QR code for my game. I've already shared on my Twitter, but in case you want to play and if you suggest some bug fixes, so let me know. In all, this was a very fun experience. What I learned from this tutorial of building games was just the basic elements of building an XR game. It has an aspect of this particular game is a multiplayer game. That means multiple people can play. And then it has a sense of competition, creating a task or achieving a task, which is accomplished by the code that I've written here, which is pretty simple. I think even if you see the code blocks, it has very basic functionalities like transform, which is basically moving an object from one place to another, action. This is mostly centered around the camera. For example, if you click on something, the camera needs to zoom in or zoom out. Events, basic events. Controls are mostly how we want to repeat an operation. In this particular exercise, I had 15 blocks. So I wanted to repeat the same set of action of pulling the block and adding the block 15 times. Items, you can add items. Function. Data is where you can just add variables. Here I created a variable as block. And yeah, the physics is also an interesting component. It's basically, here I've used it to position my camera. So when the user clicks on push block, the direction goes to the position of the camera, which is why the block was moving from left to right. And yeah, that was about my experience using Co Spaces. I'm also going to play around using Co Spaces. I hope you liked it.